Pharma Brand Manager. This video is going to be a guide for early career pharmacists who are considering a career in brand management. Over the last couple of days, I've been getting questions from a couple of them who've been reaching out to ask what does brand management entail. And this particular video is going to act as a guide for those who are considering a career pathway in brand management. And of course, as I mentioned, many in my previous videos, uh, many pharmacists think that their career ends at clinical practice or at community practice because that is what we found being done or being practiced. But there's a lot of opportunity out there for pharmacists because the level of training you've received, the amount of information you have as far as medicines are concerned, will put you at a very good position to excel in such roles. One of such roles is brand management. And in this particular video, I'm going to break it down. Who is a brand manager? What does it take for you to become one? And where do you begin as an early career pharmacist who is fresh from internship and you have a number of options that you're considering? So, this video is for you, and I hope that it will be of benefit to you and shed some light on brand management as one of the career options that you can have. As we begin, it's important for us to look at brand management, what it is, and the options that it offers for you in terms of career growth. By way of introduction, as a brand manager, it means you become the CEO of your product. You make decisions that shape how it is perceived in the market. You make decisions that shape how it is promoted and how it is used in the market. Simply, you become an owner of that particular product. You own the product, you drive its growth right from the launch phase to how it picks up in the market. That is the role of a brand manager. And as I mentioned, pharma is not just about making medicines, it's about connecting patients, healthcare providers, and solutions. Pharma industry is all about providing solutions to the problems that exist in form of diseases, and this entails connecting key stakeholders in this particular space. And the key stakeholders are the patients, are the healthcare providers, and sometimes by extension we have payments or payers, as we call them. Those are insurance companies. And you, as a brand manager, you sit at the heart of all this process of connecting all these stakeholders. So, who is a brand manager? And right the right side of the screen, as you can see, I've highlighted four words. I've highlighted strategy, I've highlighted positioning, I've also highlighted execution and growth. Those four keywords define who a brand manager is. And by way of definition, a brand manager is responsible for the strategy, for the positioning, and life management of a pharmaceutical product. You're not just selling a drug, but you're managing its entire journey from launch to growth to maturity. Those are the different stages through which a product passes through, or what we may term as the life cycle of a product once it hits the market. We have the launch phase, we have the growth, and we have the maturity. As a brand manager, you manage its entire journey, the entire journey of the product that you're managing. That, by definition, is a brand manager. And so, what are the key responsibilities of a brand manager? Your role as a brand manager spans across strategy, number one. Number two, it also covers on campaigns, it covers market analysis, it covers engaging healthcare professionals and managing budgets. I've highlighted them right there on the screen, the key responsibilities, beginning with strategy, which mainly you'll be involved in developing brand plans which are aligned with company goals. Different companies have different goals. And so you, as the brand manager, you'll be involved heavily in developing brand plans that are aligned with company goals and also by extension the values of the company. Secondly, it's marketing campaigns as one of the key responsibilities of a brand manager. And by this, we mean designing continuous medical education events, or what are commonly known as CME events, digital campaigns, and educational content. Thirdly, a key responsibility of a brand manager is market research. Remember, your strategy can only be as good as the intelligence you have about the market, about your competitor. And so, market research is one of the key roles of a brand manager. And this entails understanding competitors, understanding trends in the market, and also understanding the unmet needs in the market. Fourthly, we have stakeholder engagement. And you remember when we were defining the role of a brand manager, one of it was engaging healthcare professionals. And this is where it comes in: stakeholder engagement. Healthcare professionals form a big part of the stakeholders within the pharma space. Working with doctors, pharmacists, regulators, and sales teams, all those fall under stakeholder engagement, which is one of the key responsibilities of a brand manager. And lastly, one of the key responsibilities of a brand manager is budget management, and that entails allocating resources effectively so that you get a return on investment for every coin that you spend. Let's have a look at the day and how a day looks like in the life of a brand manager. And began by listing a typical day. I mean, I've put it there. It could be starting earlier than 9 a.m. and ending later than 4 p.m. But this is just a rough sketch on a day of a brand manager, how a day, typical day of a brand manager looks like. And so it begins by meeting with sales team, setting the priorities, setting the pace for the day. That is in the morning. You meet with the sales team, get feedback perhaps on how the previous day was like or the previous week, and maybe the challenges they are facing in the field and helping them to address them. And then at 11 a.m., you have a strategy review, looking at your strategy. Strategy, remember, it's a living document. And so you have to review it every now and then so that you ensure you are on course towards your target. At 2 p.m. is HCP engagement. Perhaps you've booked a CME event in a certain hospital and you are meant to attend to do a presentation. And then at 4 p.m., maybe it's campaign planning for a quarter, for a month, or for the next day or for the next week. And this summarizes how a typical day of a brand manager looks like. It may vary from company to company. Different companies take different approaches in defining the role of a brand manager, but at the core of it, these four fall into place. What skills do you need to excel as a brand manager? I've listed four key skills that will help you to excel as a brand manager. Number one being communication. You can't gamble on this. You can't gamble on this. You will need strong communication skill, being able to explain or break down heavy scientific concepts into easy to understand uh, pointers or selling points for the products that you'll be managing. That is really, really key. You need to be a strategic thinker. You need to be a strategic thinker. Thinking how to grow a brand from A to B requires you to have a strategic thinking as a skill in your quiver. Leadership, you'll be leading teams, so you need to have good leadership skills, the ability to lead with empathy, ability to understand different people, different temperaments, working with different people, enhancing their performance, optimizing their performance is really key. Collaboration is another one. Remember, I said brand management, one of the key responsibilities is about stakeholder management, and that comes under collaboration. Collaboration is one of the skills that will help you to manage the stakeholders that are assigned to you effectively. Financial acumen, that falls under budget management, being able to make decisions on where to spend and how to spend is really key, because in pharma, every coin that you invest has to count. Every coin you invest in marketing has to count. Creativity is another one. In a cutthroat market such as ours, which is in Kenya, you need to be creative. You need to be creative on how to market your products. Of course, within the confines of Pharmacy and Poisons Board, guidelines on advertisement of healthcare products and technologies. So you need to be creative. How do you take your product into the market? How do you grow your brand in a highly competitive market? And lastly is the market knowledge. You can't do all this or can't excel as a brand manager if you don't have knowledge of the market where you're operating. So it's upon you to do research, gather intelligence on how the market is operating, shifts in the market, preferences of healthcare professionals, and also patients' preferences, so that you adjust your brand plans accordingly to be able to still meet your targets in a highly competitive market. And so, why should you, as a pharmacist, consider this role? Why should you, as a pharmacist, consider this role? Number one is that the role utilizes your scientific knowledge. A pharmacist is a scientist. A pharmacist is a custodian of information on medicines. And so, having such wealth of knowledge, this particular role will be able to utilize your knowledge on medicines. Number two is that this role offers career growth beyond clinical practice. And we'll be looking at that shortly. What are the career pathways for this particular role? Is that it offers multiple career options beyond clinical practice. Number three is that this particular role builds your leadership and management skills, something that you really, really need if at all you're to grow into higher levels of management within the pharma space or even in your career pathway. Number four is the competitive compensation and global opportunities that this role opens you to. So those are four compelling reasons why you, as a pharmacist, you should consider this role, especially now that you're beginning your journey immediately after internship or a couple of years or months after internship. What career pathways or what career options does this role open me up to? Number one, when you begin your journey as a brand manager, of course, you can look at it, it's right on top of assistant brand manager or just below marketing manager. But this shows you the hierarchy on where you can begin your journey or where this particular role can land you to. If you want to begin your career in brand management, you may get the role immediately, but it's highly recommended that you begin by understanding the market by being a medical representative, understand the market, and then grow up to be a product executive. From there, you can grow up to be an assistant brand manager, or sometimes they're called junior brand managers in different companies. And then from there, you can grow to be a brand manager, then marketing manager, and ultimately a business unit head. And when you talk about a business unit head, this is a manager who is in charge of a couple of businesses, a couple of lines, a couple of businesses. It takes different structures in different companies. And so this is just a career pathway of a brand manager where you can begin from and where you can grow into. But this is not cast on stone. We've seen brand managers deviating and going to ending up being CEOs of different companies or different roles in different companies. Lastly, here's a takeaway that you need to go with. If you are an early career pharmacist, this role of brand management, it could be your ticket to influencing healthcare on a large scale. And so you should always remember this. Brand managers don't just market medicines, they shape healthcare. Brand managers don't just market medicines, they shape healthcare. Please remember that. And that brings me to the end of this particular video. I hope that you've picked a thing or two that has given you clarity on whether or not, or clarity on making that particular decision, or whether or not to take that path in brand management. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and also click the notification bell so that when next I put up a video, you get a notification and you can watch and learn something that can better your career or life in general. Thank you so much.